Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fueled by Growth, the podcast for purpose driven female entrepreneurs. In today's episode, we have Courtney Quinn. She is a social media expert and CEO of Quinn Creative, a digital marketing agency that helps female entrepreneurs grow communities of obsessed followers. So, welcome. It's such a pleasure to have you here. And before diving into the specifics of, how you help entrepreneurs building successful communities, I'd love to know more about your story and how did you start your Queen Creative?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. First off, I'm so excited to be having this conversation and hopefully your listeners are able to leave this episode with some actionable tips on social media to implement into their own business. But kind of diving into my story, I've been on quite the career roller coaster, quite the entrepreneurial journey. I started off in corporate sales and was actually selling prescription dog food. And sales was not for me, which is funny, kind of full circle, knowing that I'm kind of doing sales in a way now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
started in corporate sales and was like, okay, scratch that. This is not what I want to do. Ended up in corporate public accounting, which I thought was just going to be my dream job. And it was so mind numbing. It turned me into this shell of a human being. And I was just like, I can't do this. And so I knew pretty much from the get go that was not the right place for me. So I started thinking like, okay, I need an exit strategy. What can I be doing to be able to launch myself out of this and into something new? And that was when, back in 2018, it was back when influencers were really starting to make full-time incomes on social media. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And I started a fashion blog about workwear because I was looking for workwear inspo, like what to wear to the office, and I couldn't find those resources anywhere. So I noticed that gap in the social media market and decided to kind of go all in on that and started building out this blog and social presence with the goal of monetizing it. And then things in corporate got really bad and took me to like some really low places in my mental health. And the blog kind of fell off as a result of that. I had a hard time kind of being a corporate spokesperson almost and kind of like glamorizing the corporate life when in reality, like I was depressed, I was having panic attacks weekly. And so it kind of fell off. But because I had that presence, someone reached out to me and introduced me to their network marketing opportunity, which I had never thought that I would find myself in an MLM. But I was like, wow, these girls are my age and they are doing what they want. They're making a ton of money and they're living their best lives. Sign me up. And that is what really took off for me. That grew really quickly. That worked really well for me. It was a lot of fun. And so I was building that on the side and really side hustling hard while I was still working my 10-hour a day corporate job. And finally got to a place in my network marketing business within like 8 months that I was like, I'm done. I'm leaving corporate. Adios. I'm gonna take this to the next level because I had already seen a lot of success with it. So I left corporate and went all in on my network marketing business. That was my full-time job. I was loving it. And then I wasn't loving it so much. It started to feel unaligned. I didn't like the restrictions that kind of boxed me in because at the end of the day, it truly wasn't my own business. I was essentially like a marketing and salesperson for a corporate company under the guise of it like being my own business, of me being my own boss. And the pandemic hit and things really took a turn. People weren't looking to be spending money on expensive hair and skincare products when they had no idea what tomorrow would bring. So I reinvented the wheel again. I was like, okay, back to the drawing board. We got to figure something else out. And this one took a little bit. It was a little bit of like a quarter life crisis for me, trying to figure out what was next. because I was so scared of having to go back to a 9 to 5 in a corporate setting. And so I was like, okay, what can I do that will add value to other people? How can I help others with the knowledge and experience that I have? And I realized that I'd built 2 different brands on social media for myself with my blog and then with my network marketing business, and had run those businesses all through social. And I had really been knee deep in learning about social media, all of the best like tips and tricks and best practices, really understanding the algorithms. And we're still in the pandemic at this point. People are staying inside. It's important for businesses to be on social media to get that extra exposure when people aren't leaving their homes. And I was like, this is what I can do.
Exactly.
I can help other people build a brand, build a presence online that's going to be compelling, that's going to help them get their brand out in front of people when they aren't leaving their houses. And that is kind of how Quinn Creative Co. started. I initially got started off as a virtual assistant because I had no safety net, and I was like, let's cast the biggest net that we can, because I need to make money. Like, I need to be able to live. I need this to
The
work.
income. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I got started in that and was kind of just a jack of all trades, was doing whatever people would hire me to do. And I realized that if I started marketing myself as a social media manager instead of a virtual assistant, it had a little bit more of an air of authority. It showed expertise, and that I wasn't just some jack of all trades. I was a bit more niche down, which meant I could charge higher prices because I was doing hard work and was not making a lot of money. And so I kind of raised the bar a little bit and dropped some of the admin work or the random tasks that people were just hiring me as a virtual assistant to do that weren't necessarily in my zone of genius with social media. So I really hunkered down on social media, and it kind of just grew from there. Eventually, I realized I was doing my clients a disservice by doing everything. As a social media manager, I was still kind of being a jack of all trades, doing the copywriting, doing the daily management, doing the strategy, like everything, when my zone of genius and like my real personal like interest in social media is with the big picture, the strategy, understanding the different platforms and their algorithms and their audiences, and being able to curate content that performs well on each of those individual platforms, given their algorithms and their audiences. So I wanted to kind of dive deeper into that and hired out experts that were better at all of the other things that I was not, like the copywriting, like the graphic design. So we were able to provide a comprehensive approach to digital marketing for our clients, like with everything at the highest level. And that is where we are now. I own and operate Quinn Creative Co., a digital marketing agency. We primarily focus on social media management, but serve clients through graphic design, web design, influencer management, and paid advertising as well. And I have a team of 7 women that I work with.
That's so exciting.
Yes, who are like, they are all experts at their craft. And so that it's been so much fun growing this business over the past 2 years, but it's been an absolute roller coaster to get here.
Yeah, but I can imagine.
Constant pivoting, but I feel like we're finally in a good place now. But all of those positions that I was in leading up to this, like they all served a purpose, and they all taught me something that was able to get me here. So it's been a little crazy, but I'm really grateful for the journey.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. And also the way that you have pivoted from job to job and you made it successful, progress in each one of them. It's amazing. And I think it's exciting to see you now with a team of, your team of 8 in total, right? So it's pretty amazing. I think also having the pandemic kind of made people reflect on the importance of being online as well, because in some aspects, some people were still hesitant or not so aware of the impact. And it's something the pandemic did is, you have to be there because otherwise people won't see and notice you, right?
Absolutely.
Great. So tell me a bit more what type of clients are you working currently with?
Yeah, I have a real passion for serving female entrepreneurs. Just also being a female entrepreneur myself and just being an entrepreneur in general, there are never enough hours in the day. And I'm sure you can resonate with that as well. Like the to-do
Absolutely.
list, yeah, the to-do list is
It never
always spilling
ends.
over, never ending. And that's so overwhelming. But then as a woman too, if you are a wife, if you're a mother, or just to be a good friend or a good sister, those things can also fall off. And I wanted to be able to give women more time back for themselves or for their families and be able to kind of bring their stress levels down as a business owner. And so many people don't really enjoy social media or really understand social
Yeah,
media.
yeah.
It's just like it's an extra weight on their shoulders, it's an extra burden on their plate. So I really love being able to step in and take that out of the way for them so they don't have to worry about it. And they can continue pushing the needle forward in their business, diving into their zone of genius and kind of outsourcing the extra stuff that they don't love or that they aren't experts at. So we do work with a lot of female entrepreneurs, but just in general, I love supporting entrepreneurs. I love supporting small business owners. So we're kind of in a wide niche because I think it keeps things interesting. We could really niche down and get really specific, like we're only going to work with female food bloggers. But then I feel like it gets a little repetitive. Like our strategies could get a little stale. Maybe the copy could get a little stale. So I like working with so many different types of businesses, service providers, in-person businesses, online product-based businesses, because it's always something new. It's something fresh and fun that keeps the wheels spinning. So we keep growing instead of just kind of plateauing and getting comfortable with
Hmm.
what we're doing and not
Yeah.
continuing to push the needle forward.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And also, it gives you, want it or not, it gives you more experience having worked with
Yeah,
different type of businesses, because you think, oh, this
absolutely.
might not be that might not make a difference in another business because it's so different, but because it keeps you constantly thinking of how I can improve, what strategy I can implement. So again,
Yeah.
it's such so much variety, and it makes you push yourself harder to get better results, even if the business might be different, right? So
Yeah.
it's really exciting. So, okay, you're working mainly with female entrepreneurs. What platforms do you work on or you specialize in? Is there any suggestions you have on that side, or you kind of adjust to the needs of the client?
Yes. So we adjust to the needs of the clients wherever they have a presence and wherever their ideal client is typically the platforms that we will be on. Personally, I love Instagram. That's really kind of my bread and butter because the algorithm is so in depth. The algorithms, there are so many of them. There's just so much to dive into and so much strategy that can be developed on that platform. Then it's ever changing. I think that's really fun. A lot of the other platforms are a little bit more straightforward and simple. But we're managing all of the social platforms, like all the primary ones: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest. We love Pinterest. We see a lot of great results there. TikTok, I'm definitely missing one right now. Twitter, but any of the main social platforms we'll handle for our clients. When it comes to advice on which platforms I think businesses should be on, they need to look at who their ideal customer is and where they are. Um, Instagram is the kind of biggest net. I feel like all of our clients are on Instagram, and then they might be on Pinterest and TikTok, or they might be on Twitter and LinkedIn, or they might be on Instagram and Facebook. But that core similarity between all of our clients is pretty much Instagram, because so many people are on Instagram. And it's a really wonderful place to nurture your audience and to build that trust so they feel comfortable to purchase from you. Whereas TikTok is a wonderful platform to get reach, to put your brand, to put your business out in front of as many eyes as possible, but it's harder to nurture people there. Pinterest is great for driving traffic to your website. LinkedIn is really wonderful for building your authority. Facebook is good for nurturing a community, but all of the kind of demographics will be different too. Facebook skews a little older, as we know. TikTok skews younger. Instagram's kind of that middle ground where everyone is. LinkedIn is going to be more professionals, people in the corporate world, whereas, TikTok is going to be like young, Gen Z, young millennials, people in college, early working professionals. Twitter is going to be a little bit more of like the tech space. So it's all very dependent, and they all serve their purpose, but they only will serve a purpose if your ideal client is there.
Exactly.
So when I am talking with clients or potential clients about, what platforms they should be on, what they should be doing, I recommend quality over quantity, picking 1 or 2 platforms to get started with that your ideal client is on, and really diving deep into that and really mastering that. And then you can expand onto other platforms. But say you're just starting your business and you're like, okay, I need to create 5 different social accounts and manage them all for my new business. That is so much time and energy. And chances are your ideal clientele isn't even on like 2 of those platforms. So you're kind of just wasting your time and burning yourself out. So pick 1 or 2 platforms and really start with that. And then once you have a solid community, it's easier to branch onto other platforms and be like, hey, I just started the Pinterest. Come follow me there. Let's hang out. I'll be creating different content here. Or, hey, are we connected on LinkedIn? I would love to, kind of dive into things on a more professional side with you off of Instagram that's a bit more casual. So it's easier to spread out from there once you already have a little bit of a community built.
Yeah, so would you say, for instance, without getting overwhelming, building your community on 1-2 platform max is the priority, and then expand once you see that there is some growth on these platforms already? Because otherwise Absolutely. It can become, you start very excited with your 5 platforms, and in 1-2 weeks times you see you need to come up with new content ideas, you need to come up with a new strategy. So I can imagine it can be, especially for a small business owner, it can be so overwhelming, right?
Absolutely. And then once you kind of master one platform, you kind of get a system going, you get a routine, you understand like how to create the content or what you should be talking about. And it makes it a little easier, as opposed to being like, oh, I have to make a lot of posts for this week and I have no idea what to talk about. And I love repurposing content too. So you branch on. Yep. You start on a new platform. Well, right. We have to work smarter, not harder. Like there are not enough hours in the day. So you go through and you're like, okay, what have been my top performing posts this year on Instagram? Okay, wonderful. Let's take these topics and let's use them on the new platforms as well. So if you are going onto TikTok, you can't just slap the same exact post up, but you have that context. You're like, okay, people really liked this topic, or when I busted this myth, or when I gave tips on this. So then you just turn it into video content and get that up on TikTok or whatever. But that is a really wonderful way to make things easier on you as you start to utilize multiple platforms. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, use what's already been working.
Yeah. So there is another interesting aspect of it. And it's, again, each platform has its own challenges and its own changes and updates that happen quite often on some platforms. So as a social media agency, you already have all that insight because you're working on a daily basis. But for someone who is new to these things, how do you suggest people keep up with these updates and changes in algorithms? Or is it possible, for instance, to have a strategy that is not so much affected or impacted by these changes?
That is a great question about the strategy. Make sure I come back to that because we can totally dive into that. But just kind of staying on top of the algorithm changes and all of that, actually following the platforms. So like if you follow Instagram's Instagram account, they're really great at sharing the updates that are coming out, and they're getting a lot better with it. It used to kind of be like, oh, a new update came out, but we're not going to tell you. We're not telling you what's changing. We're not telling you how to make it work in your favor. Have fun figuring it out. But they've gotten a lot better at explaining what's going on. Instagram has their own blog as well, and they share a lot of good information there. But when it comes to kind of staying up to date on all of the platforms, I actually really like Hootsuite's blog or later.com's blog. They're both social scheduling platforms, but they will kind of do that work for you when these updates are coming out and will really detail what it means, what's happening, and how you can change your strategy to adapt. So I will read a lot of their blogs when things are coming out. But also finding creators on the platforms that you're on who are sharing tips, tricks, strategies, I think is another really great way to find that information in a digestible way. Sometimes if you're reading Instagram's blog, like they get very technical. I was reading one a couple of weeks ago and they actually had sections of code in their blog post, which means nothing to me, you know?
Yeah, it's like, this is so technical, right?
Like, thank you for the transparency, but this means, like, what does this mean? And I feel like creators on the platforms are good about breaking it down into a more simple way to understand. So just finding one or two creators on the platforms that you're using that you like, that you vibe with, that you resonate with, and that the way they explain things makes sense to you, I think is another really great way to stay up to date on all of the changes, because they will come. But anyways, so
it can happen.
I want to make sure yes, like it'll happen and it can pull the rug out from under you. But then it's just about adapting and being like, okay, so they're really pushing video content now. I need to make more videos, or whatever that looks like, and just kind of being like, okay, we're diving in with this. If we need to stay relevant, like that's how we're going to do it. But you mentioned creating a strategy that isn't very affected by the algorithm changes.
Exactly.
And I love that. And I think really the best way to do that, or the people that I've seen who really aren't affected by these changes, are people who are really focusing on building community. They are really nurturing their audience. They're pouring into them. They're responding to all of their comments. They're responding to all of their DMs and having conversations with their followers. So it almost doesn't matter what's happening in the algorithms. You have these followers that are devoted to you. They are obsessed with you and your brand. They are waiting for you to post your next story so they can be like, oh my gosh, like what's she up to? What's she doing? Those are the people that really aren't affected by algorithm changes, because their strategy is, pouring into their audience. Their strategy is being relatable and vulnerable and creating connections with their followers, and really looking at their followers more as a community. So those are the people who are going to be less affected, but it might still be a little harder for them to grow. So I have noticed that there were a lot of those people who weren't affected when the Instagram changes initially happened. They didn't hop onto Reels like everybody did. But now, like 1-2 years after Reels have been out, they're diving into Reels. They're creating a lot more Reels because that's how they're going to continue growing and reaching new eyes. So everyone's kind of assimilated into that a little bit more, I feel like. But the people who are really focusing on building community, providing value, and really nurturing and warming up their audience, it's not going to affect them too much.
Yeah. So I think that's really important to think about whenever someone is looking to, grow the audience. Think of like how they can create a type of content that speaks to the audience, but also provide
Yes,
continuously value, right? And especially having those conversations. So let's not forget, it's not only about posting that type of content, but let's open a conversation and drive people towards the next step, which is, okay, you've been nurturing them. Now the next step is for them to buy, right?
absolutely.
So what are some of the challenges? So we talked about, updates on the platforms, but what are other challenges small entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs have when they start with their social media strategies?
Yes, that's a good question. So if you are a brand new business owner and you're starting a brand new account, there's going to be this frustration that I see happen a lot when we aren't seeing, 10K followers within the first 3 months. There's this constant like voice in the back of your head that like I should be growing quicker. I should have more followers by now. These posts should be performing better. And it's this instant gratification kind of society that we live in now because of social media. We post something, we want to see likes. We share something on our stories, we want to see people reacting to it. And when that doesn't happen, it's like oh, what's wrong? Why isn't this working? And something that I feel like a lot of people have a hard time grasping because of that instant gratification, because you see people go viral overnight, is that social media success really does take time and it takes consistency. These people who are blowing up overnight, they've really probably put in a lot of work beforehand. They've been grinding and they've been talking to 200 followers for months, but now they have 60,000 followers because a couple of their posts went viral, because they really spent the time in the app understanding what type of content create and really learning. But I feel like that's a big struggle, is the growing. The slow growth can be really, really frustrating for people. And when you spend more time focusing on making sure your audience feels seen and heard, loving on them, pouring into them, that's when you will see more organic growth from word of mouth. And just people can tell when they come to a business's page if their heart is in it, if they are there because they want to be and they want to help and they want to impact, or if they're just there to make a dollar, if they're there to profit. People can sense that. So really putting your heart into what you're doing while also staying consistent with your posting. I mean, you should be posting, if you're looking to grow, you should really probably be posting around 5 times a week on your feed, whether it's a reel or whether it's a picture, a static post, a carousel. I say about 5 times a week. And then you should be on your stories every day too, sharing that kind of behind the scenes, building that trust, sharing some personal things. The magic is really in the mundane. People want to see your coffee order. They want to know what you're reading. They want to know about your kids or your dogs. Like, they want to know about you, and that makes them feel connected to you. So if you start off and you're doing all of that, you block out time each day to make sure you're posting on your stories and to make sure that you're posting on your feed and interacting with your followers, you will see consistent growth. It might not be overnight. It might not be as fast as you want. But know that that doesn't happen to everyone at all.
Yeah, it's a lot of testing. It's being, again, spending a bit of time on the platform, a bit of time, but that might be not that overnight success. It might take sometimes even years testing out the different ideas and types of content. So, but there are two things, which is, how do you keep, again, that discipline and that consistency? Because being on social media at the end of the day is being there, being consistent, and being disciplined. Then another thing is, having lots of likes doesn't necessarily mean you have a lot of, attract people to your business. But being there is already a big benefit in terms of like people are seeing you. They might not necessarily interact with your business in terms of liking your post, commenting, and so on, but they are seeing you, so that you're
They're
visible,
watching.
right? So it's important to understand the discipline and commitment to it. And then the second thing is likes don't mean a conversion into a business lead, but
Absolutely.
that visibility
Absolutely.
that you earn over time is more important.
Yes, yeah. Social media is a long game. It really is. Especially doing it organically and looking to gain followers organically, looking to increase your engagement organically. You can always put ad spend behind something and kind of boost it, and invest in your business that way to help bring even more eyes onto your page. But regardless, it will be a time investment. But I want to touch quickly on what you said about discipline, because you're spot on. And new business owners have to look at social media as part of their job, as part, like an integral part of their business, of their marketing plan, that they have to devote a little bit of time to each day. Honestly, like 30 minutes each day is really all you need. And it doesn't even have to be all at once. You can do 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at lunch, 10 minutes in the evening, and you really will be good. You don't have to spend hours a day on social media. But to be able to get it done with that quickly, I like to bulk out content in advance. I like to plan a month of content, because then I don't have any excuses not to post, because the content is already there. It's already created. I just have to cross it off of my to-do list. And using a scheduler is a really great too. If you know, even when it's on my to-do list, I still don't get to it. Downloadlater.com. It is free. It's wonderful. You can schedule in all of your content across any platform that you want for a specific date and a specific time, and you know that it will be posted. So that is a really, really wonderful resource. But then you still kind of have to be thinking in the back of your head about what you're going to be posting on stories for the day, how you're going to share what you're up to, what's going on behind the scenes, sharing any tags that you get when people tag you in their story or their post. Resharing that onto your story is a wonderful, really easy way to get some extra third-party proof. So customers are like, oh, okay, people are buying from them. Okay, they do have clients. Okay, it kind of just builds a little bit of extra trust. But definitely thinking of social media as part of your job, as part of your daily duties is really, really important. But then you can kind of automate the posting to just not have to worry about it. I'll sit down and bulk out content for the entire month in one day, and then I don't have to think about it for the rest of the month. And that's what we'll do for our clients as well. That is wonderful. If you are the type of person who's never getting through their to-do list every day, or social media is always falling by the wayside, like, oh, I'll get to that later. I'll get to that later. Oh, I'll get to that tomorrow. And, tomorrow never comes with something like that. So discipline is going to be huge, but plan, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I think I mixed that up, but like if you aren't planning, you're not setting yourself up for success when it comes to that. If you know it's a downfall. So just plan it out, and it makes your life so much easier.
Yeah, it comes all back to, work smart, not hard. And the fact that you're automating, you're planning in advance, you're using other tools to help you, automate as your process as much as you can. And it's going to help you tremendously at the end of the day, right?
Absolutely.
So, as part of it, so you're providing social media management services, but also you're coaching your clients in social media strategies. So how does that work? What is the combination like? And how do you continue helping your business, your clients continue growing, right?
Yeah. So we started off just doing social media management, taking it off of the business owner's plate, handling it for them. But to do that well, and to do it consistently, like with goals to grow or with goals for sales, it can cost a significant amount of money on a monthly basis to do that. And that is absolutely worth it for some business owners. Some businesses have a marketing budget that can fit that. but others don't. And I realized that so many new businesses, small businesses that are kind of just getting started, they don't have $1,000 plus marketing budget on a monthly basis. And I didn't want to completely ignore that market, because I feel like those are the businesses that really need the help even more. They're like, okay, I just started the business. I have to be on social media. I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. And I love being able to help those people and give them a roadmap so they can feel comfortable and confident to know what they need to do. So we'll do the full management where we just take everything off of their plate, handle it for them. But more on the coaching side, I will work with small business owners who are just starting their business and kind of give them, here's step one, here's step two, here's step three, or like, this is what you should do this week, this is what you should do next week, this is the type of content you should be focusing on sharing right now. This is how you're going to work with the algorithms. You should be posting this, you should be posting that, and just like give them ideas and help them understand the strategy, help them understand the algorithms so they can kind of take it on themselves and can run their social media on their own. Sometimes you just need need that little knowledge in the background to help you be able to do that. And so the approach will be different for every client that we bring on. Sometimes we kind of do a hybrid mix too, where we'll do some consulting and also like some management to take things off of their plate. But it will really just kind of depend on the client's budget or how involved they want to be. We have some clients that have large budgets, but they still want to understand it. They want to learn social media and how to be able to do it themselves. So I think that's so much fun. I am such a nerd about like social media and the algorithms. I love being able to get on those coaching calls and just talk through things with people and break it down in a way that they understand and give them that tactical advice or these examples, or provide them with the tools that we use inside of our agency. So they're like, okay, I can do this. And sometimes that's what people need too, to build that discipline. They need to make a little bit of an investment to kind of light that fire under them to stay consistent. Like, okay, spent a couple $100 learning this. I got to do it. I don't want that money to go to waste. And so that can be really beneficial for people as well, just putting a little bit of skin in the game. But then they have the confidence that they know what they're doing and that the strategies they're using are proven. They aren't just kind of flying by the seat of their pants, posting and praying and seeing what works and what doesn't. We give them some advice and some tips and strategies so they can really understand what they're doing and why.
Yeah, it's so much more empowering, right? To have that information.
Absolutely.
And makes you feel confident. Oh, yeah, I can do it, right? So I think that's really important, and I'm sure the audience will enjoy all the insights that you have been providing during this interview.
Good.
But before wrapping up, if someone was to start, they're starting their business, they have so much going on, what tips would you give them to, start thinking of their social media strategy? Like, what would be those first steps someone needs to take?
Absolutely. First, get crystal clear on who your ideal client or customer is. And then you can kind of reverse engineer which platforms you should be on. And then kind of what your goals are too. Are you looking to build a community and gain trust and make sales from social media? Or are you looking to just drive traffic to your website and maybe you're going to get residual income from ads on your website? Just kind of whatever that looks like, have that goal in mind of what you want your social media to help you achieve in your business. So now you know who your client is, where they are, and you know what goals you have in mind. So then learn a little bit about the algorithms, learn a little bit about the platform that you're going to be on. Go read a couple blog posts on Hootsuite or Later to kind of understand, or find a creator that's sharing strategy information about the platform you'll be on. And then you're like, okay, cool. And then you have to figure out what's going to work for you. You might want to grow a lot, but you just don't really have the time. I feel like so many people are sharing strategies and schedules, or even like, this is my morning routine. And people try to assimilate into it, and it never quite works right. You're like, man, I really look up to this person, but their morning routine and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So you have to find your own schedule, your own thing, your own approach that's going to work for you. And that will take a little bit of trial and error. So say this new business owner is starting on Instagram. So you're going to want to make sure that you're posting a reel probably every week. Reels don't have to be dancing or lip syncing. They can just be like B-roll footage that you have on your phone with a trending audio over it. Or it can just be you on camera talking about advice that you have to give, and just kind of get comfortable with the video content, because that is what is performing right now. And it's starting to spread across all platforms. Like, video content really is king on all platforms now, which is crazy, how quickly things have changed. So kind of dive into what other people are doing, and you'll start to see that growth. Get comfortable with it, and then you can kind of start to get a little bit more creative. You've gotten really consistent with your 2 posts a week, being on your stories 3 times a week. Let's do 3 posts a week now and be on your stories 4 days a week, and just kind of keep pushing it a little bit, and you get more comfortable with it. Social media really is a muscle that you have to train to get comfortable with it, to understand what type of content you should be posting. And it's kind of a thought always in the back of your head a little bit when you're doing something, being like, oh, I should put this on my stories really quickly. Or you're having a conversation with someone and you're like, oh, that would be a really great social media post. I need to remember that. And just kind of keeping that wheel turning in the back of your head at all times will make content posting, content creating so much easier. But one tip I do want to share for business owners, when it comes to creating content, that can feel really overwhelming. Something we do for our clients when we manage their comments and we manage their DMs, every question, every suggestion that we see, we're writing them down. All of the questions that customers have about their business, about them, about their products, we're writing it down. Any suggestions people have, like, I'd love to see this. I'd love to see you create this. I'd love to see this type of product. We write that down. And then when you're like, I don't know what type of content I should post this week, go to your list and look, because it's likely if one person is asking that question, they aren't the only person with the question. They're just the one brave enough to ask.
Exactly.
And that could be creating barriers to entry for customers into your business. If there's something about it they just fundamentally don't understand. So when you're in the jar, you can't read the label. So sometimes you have to step out or get another person's perspective that is on the outside of the jar to understand what people don't get about your business, or what people don't understand about your offerings, or what more people need from you to build that trust, to build that connection. And that will make content creation a breeze, but also really help you improve your offerings, improve your business, and warm up your customers a little bit quicker. You're addressing these issues, these questions that they have. So when a new customer comes to your page, they're scrolling through and they're like, okay, wow, all of my questions are answered. There's no reason I should not invest in this. There's no reason I shouldn't buy this product. And it becomes so much easier to convert followers to customers quicker using that method for content creation. So, and I feel like that kind of takes some of the overwhelm out of it. If you sit down to schedule out content for a month, you're like, how do I come up with 15 posts? I have no idea what to talk about. But you've kind of kept a list of all of those prompts already that you can just elaborate on or share your knowledge on. That'll make it a lot easier. And then one last tip as you're getting started on social media, don't forget to be social. Don't forget to interact with people. Go out in search of your ideal client, of your ideal follower. Find out where they're hanging out on social media. So like hashtags that they're following or utilizing. other accounts that they would be following. So you might have a product-based business and your ideal client is like a corporate age, like young millennial. So you go find influencers that are like that. You know, they are mid-20s working corporate, but they have a following of 100,000 people. So boom, you have 100,000 people that would potentially be interested in your business because they're interested in this person that is your ideal client. And then you can kind of go through their following and comment on their pictures, like a couple of their pictures, follow them, and just put your brand in front of them. It's a little bit of sweat equity. It kind of takes some time. But if you're just hanging out and watching TV or watching a movie, that's something really easy that you can do and just kind of scroll through and start building connections with people that you know would be good fits for your social media account. Yeah. Same with responding to comments and DMs that you receive. It's called social media, and so often people forget to be social. And the algorithms will reward you for being social, for interacting, for spending more time on the app. So don't forget to do that. Don't forget that like you're a real human being behind your phone, behind your Instagram account, and people want to connect with you. And that'll be a really wonderful way to do that. And it's a really great way to grow your following quickly. That was one of the first services I ever offered when I started my business. And we saw so many great results with that in organically growing people's accounts and growing their followings with intention and with followers who were perfect fits for their offering. And it just makes it a little bit easier to go from follower to customer in that conversion process and warming them up because they're already interested in you or what you do or what you offer. That's another really good tip there when you're getting started.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you're having a conversation, and what better way to get feedback, get information, get insights into their needs, their problems, their challenges than just having that conversation. You can, scroll and have more likes but if you don't have that real conversation, really, you cannot do much about it. Yeah. So this has been great. And I've loved all the insights that you've given. I'm sure the audience would love them as well. So how can we keep in touch with you? How people can reach out to you to continue the conversation?
I would love that. You can find me on Instagram at quinncreative.co. That's our agency page. I'm sharing a lot of social media tips and advice, as well as just kind of sharing more about the entrepreneurial journey. And then personally, I'm on Instagram at It's Courtney Quinn and sharing a little bit more about the CEO lifestyle and just kind of the more personal side of things. And then our website is quinncreativeco.com, and you can always send a DM or an email to hello@quinncreativeco if you're interested in kind of continuing the conversation or getting some more personalized support when it comes to your business and your strategies. And we are also just launching Social Media Secrets. It's a program that I am working on for each of the social platforms where I'm spilling all of our strategies, all of our best tips, tricks, and practices that we use on our agency clients, because I want to make that information accessible. I want to make social media success achievable for everyone. And I don't think that the social media strategies that we use should just be reserved for businesses that have a large marketing budget. I want that to be information that's accessible to everyone. So I'm really breaking things down, getting really granular, and making things really simple and easy to digest. It's a at your own pace course. The modules are really quick, like 5 to 15 minutes. So you can sit down, watch one module, absorb that information, and implement it, and not feel like you're just getting, you're drowning in information that you can't understand. So our first course that we're launching is Instagram. And then we'll have courses coming out throughout the next year that will cover all of the other social platforms as well. So LinkedIn, TikTok, Pinterest, Facebook, we're going to cover it all and get really in depth there. So you can always find more information about that on our Instagram too.
Yeah, so we will post all these links in the description of this interview, so you can have a look at and get in touch with all the resources with Courtney and the resources she's providing. So it's been lovely meeting you. It's been such a pleasure discussing all these strategies with you, and thank you very much for being here. And we keep in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time today and for inviting me. It was wonderful, and I cannot wait to hear how your audience, likes this information and how they're able to implement it into their own businesses and social media.